YouTube, how we doing? Pass the prop back here. It is day 4 in a row. We're fourth day in a row. We're back here. Now we're talking Sunday slate. If you guys were worried about tonight's game, check yesterday's show. We had stuff talking about that, breaking that down. But today is all Sunday stuff. So it's all week 1, Sunday night football. No Monday night football. We have our Monday show for that. But joined as always by my guys, Stu. How you doing, man?
I'm excited. We're back. It's been a long week. Like you said, we've been here every day. Obviously, I had a nice little VSiN spot at 11:45 last night as well. So, it's been a busy week. A lot of talking about football. I'm ready for them to play football. I feel like we've talked about it a lot. I'm ready for it to actually happen, and we're obviously almost there.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's been a long time coming, obviously, but yeah, I don't know, dude. It's just the game last night kind of left a sour taste in my mouth with how that all went. So hopefully some of these can live up to the hype a little bit more than we saw yesterday.
Yeah, I think all things considered, for me, yesterday was an entertaining game. It was obviously an explosive start. It was a kind of crazy ending to it. It had that weird lightning delay that kind of killed a lot of the momentum. But all in all, as someone that really did not have anything at stake, very minimal bets, I enjoyed it. I thought it was an entertaining football game, obviously, with CD Lamb unfortunately selling the Cowboys and kind of making a couple crucial, even Ferguson too in that last drive, kind of ending it. But it was a close game. It wasn't a blowout. I was happy to be entertained, and I'm hoping we get more of that tonight in Brazil.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you follow like PFF on Twitter, but they were showing those I forgot what they call them, like the big time throws, I think they call them.
Sure.
And Dak had 4 of them, and all 4 of them were drops. Ferguson dropped in the end zone, but he ended up getting the 15-yard penalty on that one. And then CD had 3 drops, and he put all 3 of them on the numbers. And any one of those would have cashed my bet, which is just even more infuriating to have that on top of it.
Yeah, no, I started Dak as my fantasy quarterback this week, obviously, as well. So that was a bummer. Javonte taking both of those 2 touchdowns was a little bit annoying for that as well. But yeah, just everyone else on the squad's got to work a little bit harder. Luckily, I did play against A.J. Brown. I had Dak, but I went against A.J. Brown. So he did not show up to week 1. So good for me, at least.
Yeah, my wife had A.J. Brown. I had Dak. So that was a fun day to just have our people do absolutely nothing. But, yeah, Phillies – or not Phillies. I'm talking baseball now. But I don't know, man. I tweeted out yesterday. I was like, this has to be the most undisciplined team I've ever fucking seen in my life. That cost me so many freaking dump downs because they just pass interference – now they're getting 2 personal fouls. They had over 100 penalty yards through like 2 3/4 of the game. And I'm like, damn, dude. Like, that's just costing Prescott all these passing yards. They made it down to the 5-yard line without completing a pass. Going 70 yards without completing a pass. I believe it was 2 defensive penalties and then a 40-yard run from Miles Sanders. Really? The fucking ghost of Miles Sanders is going to cook you? Crazy, dude.
Yeah, it was a weird one. Who would have? Yeah, that's the other thing too. Who would have expected your best defensive player gets fucking ejected on the first play of the game for spitting on someone? Like, what a start! You can't. People say NFL scripted. Who's coming up with that? Who's scripted that? Come on now, come on. That's something that could only happen. And yeah, it obviously threw off the whole kind of game. It changed everything from there. So. Eagles, I think, will probably similar trajectory as last year. They didn't play starters in preseason again. Like, I think it's going to be a slow start. I was not impressed with their offensive coordinator. They really used no motion. It was kind of stagnant, a little bit ugly. So, we'll be, I think, like by week 8, if they haven't figured it out, then it'll be a problem. Maybe we see another offensive coordinator fired. That would be kind of interesting. But yeah, early season, there's definitely going to be some problems with this Eagles team.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it yesterday on the show. Talked about the under, and I talked about we talked about that pretty much ad nauseum. And luckily, I don't know how it stayed under, but it did. It stayed under the total, and what a crazy way to have that happen. So yeah, I ended up starting us off on a nice little NFL 0-1 start with the big bad Cowboys. Starting me off with what? I think they said 4 total drops in the game. Really just kind of fucked me over on this because Ferguson, I told you the 2-minute drill, dude. He got all 3 catches on the 2-minute drill. Just fucking went down, dinked and dunked. I think he ended up with 6. So good for my best ball team. Bad for this because they didn't make anything happen down the field.
Yeah, it was unfortunate start. It is what it is. Obviously, if you told me how that game started, I mean, I would not have ever thought this would have missed. But it was a weird one. I don't think you can be too mad at your side of things here. But it is what it is.
No, dude, it was crazy, dude. Like to give CeeDee Lamb 2 chances on that last spot to make something happen in prime time. In the first game of the season. You want all that money, you do all the stuff for the money, and then that happens. Just it hurts. But hey, it is what it is. We are back today, and we have a great slate to talk about with you guys. We have 20 of you guys here in the chat with us to start in our first 5 minutes. Thank you guys for joining us on your Friday afternoon. Hit that like button if you could. I saw we had 45 likes. That might be one of our highest likes numbers this early in the season that we've had. I know we had a couple that we're pushing towards 100, so hopefully we'll be able to do that this year as the show continues to grow. And obviously, as the live chat continues to go out here, we appreciate you guys joining us. Anything else, Stu, before we get into today's slate?
I'm ready to go.
All righty. All right, guys. I'm going to take a look at the chat here before we get into the game. Appreciate you. Again, Larry was a fun under to cash. I cannot imagine. I hope you fell asleep and woke up to that winner because that would be the only thing that would make it better would be to sit there and wake up and be like, damn, I thought that money was gone, and then it just ends up in your account. There is no better feeling than that. We have Professor T in here. Send out a search party for AJ Brown. Capper bringing up that I think he had 1 catch, right? The 5-yard catch there at the end. And, of course, he still found a way to fuck it up and ran back another 2 yards. He was going to be right at the first down marker, about an inch short, and then ran back, ended up being 3rd and 3. They obviously got it, but I thought that was funny that the 1 catch he makes, he still found a way to mess it up and come in front of the sticks there. Mark, we appreciate you, my man, and hopefully be able to catch some winners here today with you. And, Goddard and Dotson. Who would have thought? Who would have thought those guys would be the dudes carrying the Eagles into that one? So I think we're back, Stu. I think it's time. To get to today's or Sunday's slate. I guess we could start out with big screen game. We have our big screen game. I'm not even going to give you 2 options today. You get 1. There's no mini screen. It's just 1 game because we will talk about dogs of the week as well. I'll let you take away with your 1 game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to be my own team, but I'll take that out of it, because we're talking the whole slate.
I won't even say mine either.
I think Tom Brady's even commentating my game this week. Shout out Commanders. We're finally in the
Is
limelight.
he?
I heard someone say it. I don't actually check that. I heard someone say it on a podcast. So we'll see.
I'd be curious. I thought he'd be in Green Bay, to be honest.
But the game I'm picking, the game I'm going with, is the jersey I got on right now. I got a Buccaneers jersey. I think Buccaneers Falcons is going to be a fun one. And not only that, I think it's going to be one we learn a good amount from. Obviously, Penix as a starter is something a lot of people have talked about. But it's not something we saw a little bit at the end of the season in a high leverage game, but we didn't see a whole off season, a whole, preparation, training camp, everything. And now they have it. And I'm a big Drake London fan. I have him on pretty much all my fantasy teams. If he was ever available, I was taking Drake London. I think he has a good path to be a wide receiver 1 overall this year. I think on a lot of these top wide receiver to lead the slate in receiving yards, he's going to be very live. So I'm excited to see how that offense operates. Obviously Bijan as well. And the Buccaneers, no one talks about them every offseason. They do their thing. They've just had 2 offensive coordinators in a row poached. Hey, maybe it's just because Baker's a good quarterback. Maybe Baker's pretty good at his job as well. I think Bucky Irving, the complement of guys they have here, drafted a rookie wide receiver to complement Mike Evans as well when Chris Godwin is out. The offense should flow again. The defense is old, but it's healthy now. I don't think they're going to be healthy in week 8. But they're healthy now. So I think the first couple weeks, you probably get a pretty solid Buccaneers defense as well. They blitz heavy. They blitz hard. They're going to try to create turnovers. I just think it's going to be a good, entertaining game. Even though surprisingly, I don't even have any bets in this game so far. So, maybe I'll get there at some point, but I think it'll be a great game to watch.
Interesting. Yeah, no, it's we always love those big games, big totals, division game as well to start the year. I do not mind that one one bit. Obviously, I would definitely talk about my game or my team as well. I could be lame and I might just be lame because we're going to talk about dogs here and I'll go off the beaten path a little bit. But that late night game, man, between Buffalo and Baltimore, man.
That's cheating because
dude, it's either that or my Packer game, and I'm going to be at the Packer game, like those, and I would have taken the Buccaneers because those are my other boys. So I don't think there's really any other ones that I'm really thinking about putting on a big screen TV outside of maybe like a couple of the other divisional games or just me watching my fantasy team that has some shit teams on it, like Carolina or something like that. But I'll be lame and take that. We got obviously Josh Allen and Lamar going at it again. Obviously, the playoff game will come up, I'm sure, a million trillion times. But it's regular season. It's week 1, and it's weird to see this many division games. It's just weird to see how many good games they started out the year with. So we talk about the Bengals being notorious slow starters. You can't really have that now, right? You can't really do that. So I'm intrigued. Obviously, both teams are well coached as well. That you start to see these teams come out ready to go here. So I'm excited for that one. Obviously, we'll talk about our teams as well throughout the show, I'm sure. But yeah, I think it's time for us to get to one of our segments. I'm excited for this to do the segment again. Dog of the week. I'm going to track these this year. Obviously, we don't bet spreads very often. But we did talk dogs of the week last year. I went on a little heater with Carolina last year. I think they won me 5 straight bets. But I'm going to start you off here, Stu. We got dogs of the week. Take us away here. Let's make our number here. Because I would say if it's plus money, like plus 105 or higher, we just take straight money line, right? We just take the money line if it's like 105 to 110, because that's probably just a 2-point spread. But if it's 3 or higher, we can take the number on those, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it works for me. I'm good with that.
All right, who are you taking this week? Who is your first dog of the week?
It was tough. You said dog of the week the other day, and I got fired up. I was like, I haven't thought about this in a while, but we had a lot of fun doing this last year. I feel like it'll be fun this year. I'm always curious whatever you're going to pull out. You got the most, I think, more random ones than I do. I was looking pretty close. I'm going to go with the Texans as my dog of the week. 3 to 3.5 is what I see as available right now. I think that game is just going to be a close competitive game, right? And when you look at Matthew Stafford, he's coming off of a back injury. I get people probably want to bet on him to kind of capitalize on one of the few weeks that he might actually be healthy for. But what my concern is that he really hasn't had much of a ramp-up period at all. People having to come back immediately. We've even seen it with like the Eagles, like you said, how kind of they looked without practicing in the preseason at all. They penalties galore. Like they didn't look very organized yet. And the Rams do not do that with the starters either, right? And when you look at it overall, Stafford not really playing. Okay, now he gets the league's toughest defense right here in the Texans, right? Extremely well-rounded, arguably the best defensive coach in football right now. DeMeco Ryans, I can't tell you what they're going to do on offense. If you watch the Future Show, I'm skeptical of their offense. I'm very, very skeptical of it, especially with no Christian Kirk in week 1. But I think this is more about what their defense can do. They can set it up for a close game. I think it's going to be a field goal game either way. So give me the Texans, a team that I think will just fight a little bit closer than the spread kind of says.
Yeah, don't mind that. Don't mind that one at all. I looked at that one as well, just with the Stafford news and thinking there. But I think I just got to go with the Raiders here. Plus 124 over on DraftKings right now. You could take 2.5. I'm not playing with that. I'm going to get just if it's under a field goal, I'm gonna try and ride with these guys to take that money line down here. I don't know, man. I talked about Brock Bowers ad nauseum. I'll talk about him later in the show. I think the missing Christian Gonzalez is bigger than advertised. I just saw the news and the line hasn't moved that much, and I'm going to try and grab it while I can. I think that when you take a look at these younger corners that have really taken a huge step, Christian Gonzalez got to be one of those dudes you talk about in that conversation. And to have him miss, to have Will Campbell be questionable already here, I don't know, man. I think obviously you're going to see some of these guys obviously come out and play hard right away. But I don't know, dude. I talked about the Raiders, man. You guys know I'm a Jacoby Myers guy. You guys know how much I love Gino and everybody there. So sign me up, man. I'm gonna go with Raiders, and I'm gonna roll with that offense. Hopefully, Max Crosby can do his 2 plays a game where he just game breaks and finds a way to ice something in the fourth.
Yeah, for me, Raiders was the other one I was deciding between. The only difference is I would probably be looking for the 3. Like I'd rather probably.
I looked and they're now pretty sharp at 2.5.
Yeah, and with how NFL moves week 1, I would just, if I were to bet it, I would be a little bit more. I would just probably try to wait around for the 3 because I feel like that's really nice to have in what should probably be a lower scoring game, 43 total. You got a little bit of uncertainty on both sides. But Raiders 100% is the side. I completely agree. You got a very mishmash team, right? You Drake May. We got a lot of belief in him, but they brought a lot of new pieces around. It should be an improvement in the long run, but that doesn't always come together immediately. Geno Smith is also good at football, and people don't give him the respect he deserves. He can be a little bit inconsistent, but when you talk about stats like big time throws, he's a guy that can consistently be in the top 10 in those categories, and he doesn't kind of get that respect. So Jacoby Myers, instead of getting a shadow corner, that's going to be one of the better guys in the league. He gets a much better matchup, and that's really their only receiving weapon. So that's kind of a huge blow to the Patriots right there. So I think it'll be close. Drake may break out, may happen this year, no doubt about it. But it feels like the price is kind of reflecting that he's like already broken out. And I don't really think that's the case yet. We still got to kind of see it a little bit more on the field. So I'm with you. That was the one I was deciding between. And I saw one comment about the Jets and Steelers. That was crossed off for me immediately. There's absolutely no way I'd be taking the Jets as an underdog this week. That'll be on the side screen this week for sure.
Yeah, it's tough to want to roll with like unproven things right away, right? So obviously Drake May still kind of, he finished out the season well. I'm not going to take anything away from him. I really liked betting on him last year, especially more of like a rushing. Yeah, I know Shane was kind of messing with us there on those just because I think it's like a 38 total, like just crazy, just sickening.
But you got to get your shots in at the Jets. Like you still got to take your shots when they're there. And I'm going to be watching some ugly games. Like I'm hyped for Titans Broncos this week. I'm going to have a couple bets in there. Like that's what I'm going to be watching. So I'm hyped for the ugly games too. It's week 1. We got football, man. I'm ready to see everything.
Yeah, no, I would definitely love to take the Seahawks. I think they're just plus 101, right? I mean, do I think it'll be an awesome game to watch? Hell yeah. It was probably my second close outside of my Packer game, probably going to be number 2 on my team game to watch. But I don't know. I want a little bit more of a price there. I think it's only 1.5. So it's just kind of, I don't know. I don't know if I really consider it a dog. I think it probably closes with them being like closer to minus 110 just because people are going to realize, oh shit, it's in Seattle. You still got the McCaffrey news coming out now.
That's what it depends on. Because it was like 3 before. You could have got a reason, but CMC, people then got real scared, obviously. My boy Brian Robinson is in town. Luckily, they made that trade. Otherwise, they'd be in real trouble right now. But yeah, we'll see. CMC playing or not playing drastically kind of affects that game. But yeah, I saw the same thing as you. 1.5 was a little bit too close, even though we're both kind of Seahawks fans this year. I'm interested to see that game. It'll be a good one to watch, though, for sure. I'm curious if Cooper Kupp, how he looks. That's a guy like even I could see myself live betting him after like the first drive or first 2 drives if he's looking good out there because he's the guy maybe people might have counted out a little bit too quickly, I think.
For sure. Well, I think it's time, Stu. I think it's time to do our first Sunday shows play of the week here. So I know you got 2. I have 1 plus money spot and also I got a pretty big long shot ready for you guys to go here. So we'll take it away. Guys, hit that like button. We got 35 of you guys in here. And I will kick it over to you, Stu, to take it away.
Yeah, sounds good. Just want to hit that retweet over on Twitter and we're good to go. Appreciate everyone that's joined us live. And if you do have any questions, drop them in. We'll get to those. And yeah, I'm ready. Play number 1 of the NFL season for me. I'm going Josh Downs over 45.5 receiving yards. minus 115 is on FanDuel right now. I'd play this one up to around like 47, 48, but there's a lot of good options still here right now. I even think some of these lesser books have 44.5 still available. If you do have like you say Rivers or one of those like Fanatics, or Hard Rock is the one I see everywhere now. Gosh, Hard Rock, you need to expand a little bit more, guys, because those lines are very soft. But I love Josh Downs. I kind of mentioned it when we were doing our best ball draft and we took him. Like, he's a guy I instantly knew I was going to be playing this week. Like, he was a guy 100. He was circled. And for me, I felt like just anything under 50 was going to be reasonable. That's what I was hoping for. It opened up at 44.5, and I think that's kind of a very fair number. I like the receptions as well, but on most books, they're very juiced right now. If you can get it better than minus 130, I think the receptions are a very good look, right? And when you look at who benefits the most from this quarterback shift, right? Anthony Richardson, a guy that is dynamic, explosive. He can make some throws that really not a lot of guys in the NFL can make. The problem is he's a guy that his completion line was legitimately set at like 13.5 for games where he was fully healthy and ready to start, because all of that short, all of that intermediate, passing from the pocket, sustaining drives, he could not do any of that. It was huge struggles. And we look at a guy like Josh Downs. He's a slot weapon. That is where he does his damage, is going to be that short and intermediate. So when we saw Richardson in, I feel like a lot of people kind of forgot about Josh Downs because he wasn't in the limelight. He wasn't getting focused. He maybe would get a deep grab here or there, but the consistency wasn't there. In games where he wasn't the starter last year, Downs was over this number in 6 of 7 games, and he looked fantastic. And when we've seen it over the course of his career, great separator, top 10 ESPN separation score. You can also use fantasy points. ASS is what it's called, average separation score as well over there. Josh Downs is a guy that sticks out in that department across most metrics. You can see it on tape when you watch him. He's explosive. I really do think he's one of the better like slot weapons in the league. Like, you obviously have your elite kind of Amon-Ra St. Brown tier of players, JSN. I think he's like the level right under that. And I really do think in the right situation, he could ascend to that like next level. The problem is quarterback play, right? Daniel Jones isn't a good quarterback, but what Daniel Jones can do is he can operate an offense. He can throw the ball 10 yards at a time. He can operate a run-heavy offense, which we've seen him do with success. It's been a little bit, but we got to remember, this is a guy, like, he had that one really good season. And I know people want to hate on him for everything since. It's been ugly, don't get me wrong. But I see a team that's going to come out and try to run the ball 30 times a game. I think they're going to try to run the ball as much as possible, right? I don't think there's really any debate about that. I think this is going to be a run-heavy team. But when we've seen Daniel Jones, when he does pass the ball, it's all short and intermediate. It's all quick check down, slants over the middle. Wan'Dale Robinson, on paper, if you didn't watch these games and you'd never heard of him before, you'd think, oh, this is a top receiver in the league when he's in there with Daniel Jones. He was taking away 5 to 6 targets a game, or 5 receptions, 6 targets a game from Malik Neighbors, one of the most talented wide receivers in the league. Like, Wan'Dale Robinson is not particularly talented. He's solid. He does his job well. Josh Downs, to me, is clearly a talent level above that. Like, clearly, not even really a debate right there. So when you get an upgraded weapon from a place that Jones is very comfortable in, I think that's really ideal. And then you look at this Miami secondary. It's going to be really bad. Like, Miami is already, they've been just cutting and signing these old washed corners all off season because they don't have any options. And what they are officially going to be doing by most of their beat reporters is they're going to be starting 5th round rookie Jason Marshall Jr., who wasn't even a slot corner in college. They just don't have the options there. So he's going to be going from the outside to the slot. Solid college player, but a 5th round draft capital going against Josh Downs, a shifty route runner in his first week. Like, any team that can look at Miami can see the secondary's weakness. Their D-line is pretty solid. They're getting a Bradley Chubb back, who was good in the past. Like, I was a huge fan of him before he got injured. Great pass rusher, but obviously we'll have to see how he kind of ramps up after a serious surgery like that. But the point is, the D-line is kind of the one okay part of this Miami defense, and the secondary is dog shit. So sure, this team is going to run the ball a lot, no doubt about it. But it doesn't take a genius at all to identify the weaknesses the secondary. Steichen, I think he's still a good coach. I've seen a lot of slander about him in last season. I think he was doing the best with what he could. And I still have faith in him as a play caller, as someone that can dynamically respond to defenses. That's the one thing he did with the Eagles that no one else did as their like offensive play caller, is he was a guy that adjusted to every single defense. They'd go, they were really creative with their offense like that. And I still saw that with the Colts. I just don't think they had the talent to actually carry that over. I think with a full offseason to prep, there's some clear weaknesses here. I think they're going to take advantage of them. And you and me are unfortunately on the same page, where I think Daniel Jones just looks better than people expect because he can manage a system. And the Colts, solid O-line, solid D-line. They have a solid roster. They just need someone to manage the system. And I think Josh Downs is just going to benefit from that more than anyone else. Pittman coming off some pretty serious back issues. I think he could look good once again. But do I really trust him? A.D. Mitchell's at 23.5 yards. He's the wide receiver 4. I don't know why the fuck he's lined that high. Alec Pierce, also 23.5 yards. One of those two has to be wrong, because one of those two has to be sitting on the bench while the other's playing. So those two both kind of scream unders to me. They're both deep ball reliant players. Look how well that worked for fucking Jalen Hyatt with the Giants. He couldn't even get on the field. There's no interest for that. Slayton went from looking like a solid player to barely ever touching the ball. Daniel Jones does not use the deep threat. So Michael Pittman and Tyler Warren in his first career game on a team that rotates tight ends a lot are your competition. I think Downs goes crazy. I think he reminds people that he's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I do not mind Downs. Obviously, monster at North Carolina, a guy that we bet on all the time in college. I always like, whenever I bet Downs, he's always reliable for those buy downs because the dude just finds a way to make people miss in space as well, which is something as a slot guy that if you do that, you can make those 5-10 yarders turn into 20, right, real quick. So I think I like that you talked about Wandale. I think that's a huge feather in the cap of Daniel Jones. Is he has shown that he can make guys still put up numbers, right? Everybody looks at him as the dude who fumbles, who has all these issues, whatever. I think now he might not even run as much, because I feel like when he was with the Giants, he was running for his fucking life all the time. I feel like we might see more like designed runs.
Yep.
But he was throwing the ball like 20, 25 times. There was probably 35 dropbacks. He just had to fucking run around because his line was so bad. The difference between the Giants offensive line and this Colts offensive line, there's like, I don't even know if there's a word to describe how big of a difference it's going to be for Jones. He's probably getting a full extra second in there to hold the football because of how bad that offensive line was for the Giants. So definitely like you talking there on that. And I think that transitions me pretty well into mine, because I'll be talking about the Giants. I'll be talking about Malik Neighbors in the game against your Washington Commanders here. Really, really like this spot. Plus 125 on him to lead the game in receiving yards. And I think that's a very nice spot too, because I'd have to buy it up to like 85 to be at the same price. He's at 75 for his normal line. I just think there's a lot more mouths to feed over there in Washington, right? Dump downs to Eckler, behind the line of scrimmage, passes to Debo. You still got Ertz in there, who finds a way to get 4 catches a game. And then there's Terry, right? So those are really our main competition. Who's Neighbors? I mean, Tyrone Tracy, Theo Johnson. We talked about that. Like that's who we're competing with, right? My thing is we just talked about how bad Daniel Jones was with the Giants and how hard that was for him. And Neighbors, had one of the best rookie seasons we've seen in a very, very long time. He had 2 games against Washington last year, and just to put this in perspective, he was 18 and 11 targets in those games. Unreal volume in those games. You look at McLaurin, he didn't really do anything in those games. They didn't need him to do anything, right? My thing here, too, is you have Jaden Daniels, who I think is going to be more than willing to run in this game, just because I don't think the Washington's going to be able to run the football against this Giants defense of line, because we just looked at how many additions they have. This is a pretty good front four. Like, this is really good on the front. Obviously, Kayvon Thibodeau obviously getting a lot of the love there as the big-time first-round pick for the Giants there. But they're adding, and they're just like, all right, we're going to get this in the trenches. Obviously, they didn't do much on the offensive line, but the defensive line has definitely gotten much, much better here. So sign me up, dude. I think Neighbors, just the volume, obviously the speed, Russ being able to throw the ball down the field. They haven't been able to do that, right? That's never been something that he's been able to do since we had Daniel Jones last year, and you went and kind of told us what Daniel Jones is good at. And I think maybe the targets come down from, the 18 target game to maybe 14, but he's going to force feed. We're going to start to see a little bit more down the field work. And Neighbors is obviously one of the top talents at the wide receiver position here. So too many mouths to feed over there in Washington. I also think Jaden Daniels does a lot with his legs in this game. I think this is a great spot for Neighbors, and I think plus 125 is pretty generous just because you have Terry on the other side that's taken away some of that number.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, even in the reporters are kind of asking Terry, like, think you're going to be on a snap count? He's like, no, I think I'll be good, but we'll see how I'm feeling like day of. Like, he just got back. He's obviously had the holdout kind of all summer as well. So that could kind of eat into it as a little he could just miss some more snaps than he normally does. You could see 100% route participation turn to 80%, and that matters in something like this. And yeah, now he's got Deebo Samuel, who's had all camp to kind of ramp up. Hopefully he's going to be looking good. Another guy I'm very curious to see how he looks. He needs to beat those washed allegations if Washington wants to have some success this year. And yeah, on the other side, Darius Slade, he'll probably steal a deep ball or two. I think he'll be involved. He'll be out there, but Slade just is okay. He's okay at the end of the day. And Malik Neighbors is really fucking good. And like you said, he's going to get 10 plus targets in this one. Washington's secondary has some issues, but even worse than that, Washington's defensive line is really bad. So even though I think the secondary could be better this year, you can't cover a guy like Neighbors for long. Like, you still need that pressure. And I think Washington's D-line is going to leave their secondary out to dry. I would really not be surprised if Russ hit him with one of those 40-yard, down the sideline ones, especially they're going to be trailing. And, Tyrone Tracy, he's okay, but he's not a guy you game plan around. You know what I mean? 13 carries, 14 carries, sure, but not 20. So there's going to be plenty of passing right here. And yeah, I like Neighbors' longest reception as well. I saw FanDuel has 23.5, while everyone else is 25. I think that's a good line right there, because I agree, Russ is going to be chucking it down the field a little bit more this year.
Yeah, and just kind of, watching Russ as long as I have, obviously a Badger guy, watched him through. I'm obviously a big fan. I think when you start getting down to it too, they have you got Dart behind you. Right, all these people are talking about it. You got to put up numbers, and you got to do it right away. And what's the easiest way to get them on your side is to, let's just make the number one receiver happy, right? That's how you get to keep playing. If Neighbors is putting up 120 yards a game first 5 games through,
yeah, that's true.
They ain't sitting them, right? Neighbors going to tell them to get the fuck down. And I know it's better for the future, but I'm sorry, Neighbors is a little bit more important to the future than I think Dart is, because obviously Neighbors is literally what do you have, 1,100 yards last year? What do you have? 1,200 yards last year, 109 catches as a fucking rookie with Daniel Jones as a starting quarterback. So I definitely would force feed at an absolute nauseum. Maybe 20 targets, right? Daniel Jones knew what he was doing. He's like, I want to keep having a job in this league. I'll just give this guy a ball 18 times a game. So smart.
Yeah, that's a funny angle. I didn't really think about that, but you're not wrong. You keep the wide receiver one happy. I mean, these guys are the last people you want to piss off. Look at all these fucking holdouts across the league. Like, stay on the good side, and you might get to start a couple extra games, pick up a couple more game checks as well.
Oh my God, dude! I'm telling you, bro. That ring he bought Sierra, bro. That shit ain't cheap, bro. You gotta keep those lights on out there, bro.
Hey, that's why he's got about 400 Subway ads going. He bought that ring, but he ruined his credibility doing so, because now you got to watch those stupid fucking ads 5,000 times a game as he throws 3 interceptions as well.
Yeah. Well, it's tough. Like I said, she's probably making more money than him damn near now. She's out on tour all the time. So, let's get this thing rolling. Let's take a look at the chat. We got Austin in here for calling our shot. We appreciate you popping in, my man. We'll have to talk and see if we can get you back on here at some point on one of the shows. Yeah, I think it's time. Stu, you're the only one bringing 2 bets this week. So I'll kick it over to you for your second bet, and then everybody's favorite long shot spots. So I'll kick it over to you to take your second play, third one of the show.
Yeah, it only felt right, First show of the year, got to come out firing here. I'm going James Conner over 68.5 rushing yards, minus 110. This one's widely available. FanDuel, DraftKings, all that has it. I would play it up to like 71.5, 70, but I don't think it moves much more. It opened a little bit lower than this, but I don't think we're going to actually see that much more movement, honestly. I think this is kind of settled in. And I think that's because, to a certain extent, people are still a little bit scared of Trey Benson. And I like Trey Benson. I actually had a lot of him last year in best ball. I was a fan of the talent of the tape coming out of college. I think he's pretty dynamic. But if there's one thing this coaching staff has showed us, it is that they fucking love James Conner. Like these last 2 seasons, every opportunity that the game is close. I was actually playing Benson under 12.5, 13.5 yards for the whole first half of last season, because when it was a remotely competitive snap, James Conner was out there. Like, he was just out there. Passing downs, he's out there, just underrated 3-down back. Honestly, when I was trying to think of comparisons for what Omarion Hampton would look like at his peak, I think Conner would be the outlook. Like, good pass catcher, but not like dynamic. He's just always out there, and he's always available. And that makes him such a good option for a guy like Kyler Murray, who's going to scramble in the pocket a lot. He's a solid enough blocker that he helps him out there. Like, this team loves him. There's one quote that's Conner saying, oh, we're like RB1, RB2. Like, 8 guys have said that this offseason, by the way, which is kind of hilarious. And I feel like that's the kind of thing people holding people back from Conner. When I look at this game, I think Conner should be favored to lead the weekend in rushing yards. I think like 100 plus is on the table. I think a heavy volume game is going to be on the table here because, one, the Cardinals are my survivor pick. I think they're going to beat the fuck out of the Saints. I think it's only 6.5, which is crazy that it hasn't even reached 7 this week. I got a ton of Cardinals money line with like UFC and different parlays and stuff like that. Like, I think the Cardinals take care of business in this one. They upgraded their defense. They finally added some talent. They've been a top 15, top 10 defense, but they didn't have any talent. They had good coaching, but now they finally injected a little bit of talent into there. Obviously, Baker is good as well down there, but it's a good squad. Rattler and the Saints are going to suck. Like, this is looking like clearly what's likely to be the worst team in the league this year. The game script is good. They're 7-point favorites. Like, this should be a running game script all day long. And I don't know why people would want to go away from a guy like Conner here. Like, there's unlimited positive coach speak from this staff ever since he's been available here. And he's done everything possible for them. He was efficient last year, above average analytic profile, good with the explosive plays, top 10 in 10 plus yard rushes, look good on tape. Like, I don't see any negatives here. The only problem I think would be if like they're losing this game, which I just don't see. I don't think Kyler will run when he needs to, but he's not going to be getting very many designed runs. They really haven't done that a ton with him unless it's like a huge big game. It's normally from scrambling. And I just don't see a pass rush on this other side. Like, I see 18 carries in this game. I honestly see 20 to 22 carries in this game. And the Saints are projected PFF top or bottom 10 rush defense. Like, I don't see how they control time of possession. I don't see how they move the ball. I just think it's going to be Arizona looking very good in week 1. And I think James Conner is going to be a big reason why. So, yeah, I don't see the negatives on this one. I really don't, unless like the Saints are a lot better than people expect. That's kind of what you're banking on, I think, if you think this is going to lose. And I'm not on that bandwagon at all.
Yeah, no, I do not mind that spot at all. I do have a lot of Trey Benson in best ball just because he was damn near free.
But you don't think it's going to be week 1? Like, you think it's going to be right?
No. I'm just saying like that's Benson. Later on in the season for sure. I guess my issue is if they're like up a lot, but I guess if you think that, then they're going to be obviously riding Conner early in the game, right, to get to that spot. So. Yeah, I don't know. I have no issue fading Spencer Rattler, so I have no qualms with your spot there on the Cardinals. I do feel like a lot of people will be on that Cardinals spot for the survivor pick because you can't really trust them against anybody else, So, I believe there's the second biggest favorite of the week with the Denver being 1 against Cam Ward in his first start, but obviously Denver is a significantly better team in my opinion than Arizona and a little bit more trustworthy just because the defense obviously shows up. So let's get a quick recap in here, Stu. Let's get that recap in, and then I know we have quite a bit left to talk about here. with our long shots here. Let's kick it over. I'll go first because I only got one. I'll be rolling with Malik Neighbors to be the top receiver in the game against Washington, plus 125 on FanDuel, and I'll kick it to you, Stu.
We got Josh Downs over 45.5 receiving yards, minus 115 over on FanDuel. I'd play that one to like 48, 49. Then we got James Conner over 68.5 rush yards, minus 110 everywhere. I'd play that to like 70, 71.
Perfect. All right. I think it's time for some long shots. We got 35 of you guys joining us here, 40 minutes in. We appreciate you guys popping over here. And I will kick it over to you, Stu, to take us away because I feel like kind of talked about it similarly a little bit when I talked about that Giants game already. I know you couldn't go a whole show without having a bet on that Commanders game, so I'll let you take that one.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm excited for this game, obviously. I do believe the price is not that good, though. I think, what did I say? Like
300?
Yeah.
300? I think I heard 6 catches and then put 6.
Yeah.
So that's on me.
No, I wish it was 600, but honestly, a lot of the long shot odds aren't great week one. And I didn't expect them to be, but when odds sit out for so long, they're up like weeks in advance and people bet them for small limits and stuff. It kind of sharpens up the lines a little bit. But yeah, I like Debo. 6 catches in this one. And the philosophy is really simple. When you look at this matchup, what I think is going to happen is, one, Washington's going to do exactly what they did a lot of last year, which is short passing. A lot of people talk about the vertical raid. Cliff's the horizontal raid. He likes Zach Ertz for 7 yards, running back for 5 yards. Like, they're kind of dink and dunking their way down the field. And then you mix in Jaden Daniels getting 15-yard scrambles at a time. They were good passing the ball downfield. They were extremely efficient, but Daniels didn't actually take that many deep shots. Like, you'd expect it more, but he's just really efficient when he does. He doesn't actually throw the ball down the field a ton. So I think that kind of caps Terry McLaurin's upside a little bit, especially in his first game back, even though they do have a good cornerback matchup. But the whole philosophy is simple. The defense on this Giants team is going to make you pass the ball quickly. Like, this defense, the way they crafted this defense is hilarious. I give them credit. It might suck. It might blow up on their backs, but just going, how about we just get all the best like edge rushers? How about we just have the scariest defensive line and just fuck the rest of it? Send them in 4-man rush, no blitzing, just send those boys. And we'll just see what happens. And like Thibodeau, you got Burns, you drafted Abdul Carter, who I think was the number 1 talent in that draft. I think he's gonna wreck this year. Like, that's a unit you don't want to mess with. That D-line is their strength, and they're going to come at you fast. So how do you circumvent that? How do you get away from this scary defensive line? You're going to come in with a quick passing game plan. If you had a better rushing attack, you'd probably want to run the ball. But how good does Chris Rodriguez into Abdul Carter and Brian Burns sound like that? That doesn't sound great to me personally. I think we're going to see a lot of what we saw last year, which is quick passes, Eckler, Debo. They brought Debo in for this reason. When Cliff Kingsbury was with the Cardinals, he led the league in plays behind the line of scrimmage, right? In passes behind the line of scrimmage. He averaged 8 per game. He brought that to Washington last year. They didn't lead the league. They only had 6. When you look at why, who are the options? You had Eckler there, but beyond that, you had Diami Brown. He was number 2 in targets behind the line of scrimmage. That's never what he did before. He was a deep ball guy. So what they did as soon as offseason was available was, let's get a guy that fits this offense. Let's get a guy that can take a screen and take it to the house. Let's get a guy that can break tackles. Let's get a yards after catch guy. Debo fits that scheme so well. If Debo's healthy, he's going to be a great or it just looks better than he did last year in general, where he was kind of weighed down from injuries, was a little bit overweight all year. If he can come in hungry this year, there's going to be unlimited opportunity, because this is a defense that is going to make you throw the ball shortly. And that's all Cliff Kingsbury wants to do anyway. And what's his name? The fucking starting corner is so bad for the slot corner for the Giants that they're actually going to do a 2-man rotation, where one guy's going to play the first 2 snaps and then another guy's going to play on third downs. What the fuck? That's like when a college names 2 quarterbacks because they both fucking suck. We go, okay, this guy comes in on third down. It's like, no, that's when you're in real bad shape. Week 1, you've already got 2 losers fighting over who's going to cover Debo. So good luck with that. I think it's just going to be Debo City. I wanted some way to bet on him, so we're going to do some long shots.
Yeah, don't hate it at all. I don't think that you can really hold the ball that long. I kind of mentioned that in my talk about neighbors as well, where it's like if we're dink and dunk down the field, obviously we're not pushing those yards up. That would obviously have to compete with neighbors, right? Which is what I have for my main bet here. I'm doing a little parlay because Stu's was bigger than mine, so I was gonna do each of one of these individually, but I'm gonna parlay them because they're both not plus 300. But I got a plus 205 on Bowers on Rivers. And I think it was plus 220 for London. If you don't have Rivers, I use FanDuel. That is the best other option there. And I'm going to go Bowers 8 catches in London 100. We talked about Drake London quite a bit in the start of the show. I don't see how Tampa stops him. I really don't. Again, we talk about it where feeding the number one receiver as a younger quarterback or a guy who's a new starter, easiest way to get on the good side there. And we know what Tampa does, right? They try to pass funnel you, and they make you into a one-dimensional team. Obviously, Bijan is fantastic. He's still going to get his. I'm not worried about that, but it's not going to be as easy as just giving Penix 25 throws, and that's it. I think that they let it open up a little bit. And London, obviously, great yards after the catch. Towards the end of the year, he just started turning it up. Obviously, he was one of the guys that I think they mentioned that he was in one of the most he was in most of the winning lineups of, like the Millie Makers, and he was getting into those, I think, multiple times in the last 2 months, which is pretty impressive, making the optimal lineup as a wide receiver at that type of price, right? It's not like he was just a free square to grab because he was chalk. He was just doing that well, right? He was putting up multiple touchdowns. He's making big plays, and, obviously, Kyle Pitts, maybe he makes a step somewhere, but it's pretty much the Drake London show as the number one. I'm trying to push it against myself where I'm not getting too out, like not letting myself get too crazy, saying this is an automatic mega L word that we're never going to use on the show here. But when you have a guy like, they drafted him early, like maybe he takes a step forward with Penix there. I don't know, but either way, London is by far the number one option in this receiving room. And you have, like I said, one of the better options there that you can play against in this Tampa Bay team, because obviously they're going to score points. They're going to score points. They're going to score fast. They have a dynamic offense, and they are a pass funnel. So I really like this spot for London to get us there. Going over to Bowers, too, I think this is going to be a fun game, too, because I talked about the Raiders being my dog pick. That doesn't mean I think they're going to be winning from the jump, right? They could be behind in this game. Geno's put together a lot of those fourth quarter comebacks. And I kind of relate it to, when Geno has a number one option, right? And last year it was JSN, right? JSN had, I believe, I just looked this up too. He has, 5 games with 12 plus targets in those. So he will lock on to his number one option if they're not taking care of him, right? And also, like I mentioned before, Christian Gonzalez being out in this game is huge. I don't think that they can just flip something to find a way to match up with Bowers, right? And you look at Bowers as well. If I take out the first month of the rookie season, even though he was putting up big numbers and he actually hit this number a couple times, you look at the second, like once it turned to October, he had 8 double-digit target games. That's absurd. This dude is just getting underneath routes. He obviously has the ability to break some off. But I think Geno's going to – I mean, who was Geno rolling with at tight end there when he was out in Seattle, right? I mean, he's rolling with like freaking Will Dissly. Like that was his thing. Now you have a safety blanket of all safety blankets. You had JSN last year. I think it transfers over to Brock Bowers and a lot more probably closer to the line catches early. If we start to see a little bit of pressure on him, because, he is getting old. He wants to get the ball out of his hand, not trying to take too many hits early in the season. I think Bowers is that guy. I'd rather go catches here than yards, but definitely think that both of these together, almost 8-1, just feels really off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of both these guys, especially London. I think London has a great year. I've seen earlier picked that as kind of my favorite game on the slate, and I agree that I think London's going to be a big part of that. When you look at like Mooney missing a lot of the training camp and the ramp up there, he just got back, and then beyond that, like you said, it's Kyle Pitts. Like if you're expecting something from Kyle Pitts this year, good luck. Like maybe he just because it's hard to look much worse than last year. Just like maybe he could look a little better. But I mean, he's not getting you more than like 40 yards a game. Like there's really not much concern with his upside there. It's just kind of how much they can stop Bijan, how much he can get slowed down, and kind of what that looks like there. But I think, like I said, they're healthy week 1. I think you should see a lot of London. And yeah, he's one of my favorite, upside targets on the slate. And Bowers, I'm curious how that offense looks. I have no clue what it's going to look like, honestly. But like you said, he's kind of like the ultimate safety blanket. And you'd think, like, who else are you? Like, it's Jacoby Myers, and then that's it. Trey Tucker, you got some rookie. Like, I don't know. I don't know who else you could possibly trust there. So if they're going to throw the ball 20 times, like, I don't know how, at a minimum, he doesn't get 6 of them. That's like his worst kind of game. You know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of upside to go 8-10 catches in this one.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'm just crazy here, but I'm not, like, looking at Genty for anything this week. Like, not in terms of his caps. It's 95.5 for his rushing, receiving. Yeah. 17 carries in your first game. Like,
yeah.
I mean, are we just going to force feed it? I just feel like
maybe, but
yeah, sure, but I'm not anywhere close to that. I'm a little bit. Maybe that's the reason why I like Bauer so much more in this game, is because I am off of a lot of these Genty props. I do think they're a little bit too high. So that's kind of where I'm at. Where I'd much rather roll with a proven commodity, and a proven commodity with what, Aiden O'Connell for some of those fucking games, bro.
Yeah, I need to see if like the Raiders are carrying like a scat back as well. Zamir White, I guess, not really. Raheem Mostert is there. Okay. So I guess he will be the clear passing down guy, because I played his prop in the playoffs where they were huge underdogs. I played Genty receiving yards. It only opened at like 11.5. It got bet to like 14, and then it ended up at 17. And the reason it was that low is because he didn't do that much. He didn't catch passes very often. So
I was literally about to bring that up as well.
The fact that his number is up to 19.5 on some sites for receiving is like, whoa. Like, that was lower than the playoff game where they were like 80-point underdog. Yep. Have to throw all game long. And he still, he went over, obviously. Cashed that ticket. Shout out to Genty. But like, what are we doing? Like 19.5 first game. If it opened at like 11.5, I'd be like, okay, I'd like the over there. But getting into the 20s range, maybe by closing time, is like, wow, a little bit higher than I expected. Although I guess Mostert maybe could catch passes, but that's not really what he does. He was kind of more the early down guy. Zamir White maybe, but I don't know. It's just interesting. Like, I don't really see that immediately in week 1, because we didn't see it in college in his senior season, especially, or his final season. So we'll see. I'm curious how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean, you look at third downs, right? I mean, he had JSN and Charbonnet out there on those underneath routes, and those guys are elite, obviously elite pass catchers. I don't really know who their third would be. I mean, they don't have Sincere McCormick there anymore, rolling with those little shout out Sincere McCormick for just being a fucking savage name. But I think that's all we got here, Stu. Anything else from you? We're 50 minutes plus in. We still got 25 of you guys live with us. I'll have to check what we're at for likes, but you saw Trill already popping over here, dude. He's ready to get outside. So let's take a look here where we're at. Anything from you here yet, Stu, before we get out of here today?
Yeah, last question I saw over there was Evan Ingram receiving yards. I think that's a pretty solid one, honestly, because when I look at Denver, especially in best ball, this is my thought process. All these guys are expensive. Bo Nix, he's not like, you're not really getting a discount. He's kind of expensive. Sutton is kind of expensive. But beyond that, who's going to perform? Because if they're going to pay off these price tags, someone else on this team, RJ Harvey was fucking expensive. Like, someone else is going to have to overperform. And so when you look at the wide receiver room, I think Evan Ingram is an option. I don't know if I'm going to be there week 1, though. Like, to be honest, what I look at when I see that team is Troy Franklin is very interesting to me.
Yes, I have a lot of low Oregon, baby.
I think 18.5 receiving yards is what it is. I think I'll be playing an alt line of like 40 for Troy Franklin, like that, because if he does play, if he is like the slot guy or gets out there more, they traded away Vele. They were clearly comfortable with their wide receiver room. I don't know why Franklin wouldn't get more run this year as another option. Pat Bryant maybe later in the year as well as a rookie. But the camp reports were that obviously Franklin is going to be out there a decent amount. So for me, those lower, cheaper guys are a little bit more interesting, I think, personally. But overall, I think Ingram probably has a good game. Week 1, I don't know if I'm going to be back in it personally. Like, I think it's a solid number. I think it's a fair number. Good pass catcher, no doubt about it. But he also can't block at all, so he kind of takes him off the field for certain snaps. He's just a big wide receiver. And also, they could just be beating the crap out of them. Like, in my opinion, I think they run for over 125, maybe 150 yards in this game, because they're going to be huge favorites against a rookie quarterback facing an elite defense. That Broncos defense, I was watching them last night. They're so fun, dude. They're so good. And the upgrades they added, Stealing Hufanga, a ball hawk who can be covered by their other good cornerback and safety play. Greenlaw as well, who might miss week 1, like stacked defense, like brutal defense. That could be a good survivor pick as well, because I like Cam Ward, but it's a tough entry to the league right here for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be a rough one to start the year off, but I think we got through everything. Again, guys, if you have any other questions, let us know. Drop them in the chat. We appreciate you, Dan, popping in here and joining us on your Friday afternoon. We're at 31 of you guys in here. We got 14 likes. Let's get that up to 20 before we head out here today. And we'll get to heading out and letting you guys enjoy the rest of your Friday afternoon. But hit that like button, guys. We appreciate it. But yeah, I think we are ready to roll. We got, like I said, 3 total plays, ton of long shots for you guys. Hopefully you guys are ready to cash in with us on week 1, year 4 of Pass the Prop here. Crazy, absolutely crazy. But like I said, hit that like button on your way out. We will be back Monday talking about the Monday Night Football game, recapping this week, and hopefully talking about some money that we've won. So have a good one, guys. Best of luck, and we will catch you guys on Monday.